Hello and welcome back to Substream News, clearly from a new recording location. I'm on a Bangkok rooftop. I'm here in the capital of Thailand because this week is Southeast Asia Blockchain Week and I will be there if you want to meet me in person. If not, let's move on and get on with this video. Let's go. Star Wars, Futurama, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, all of these things have one thing in common, and that is home robots. And while they come straight from the realm of sci-fi, they may become a reality soon. That is, if Apple's wishes are met, because they are heavily investing in home robots. So it's claimed by Bloomberg that Apple is working on two different lines of home robots. There's one that will follow you around the house and literally physically will follow you around, and the other one is on a kind of axis and is a tabletop home robot that will follow you around the room. Now, one of the most interesting things about this tabletop robot is a feature that Apple patented long ago, and it's the ability to pick out one person from a crowd during a group video call. So imagine you're with your friends, there's 5 of you in the call, and when one person's being spoken to, the camera will zoom in on that person and will show only their face until they're finished speaking, and it will go back to the group. I think that's very useful. I could imagine that being quite cool in video conferences. Well, this news is hoped to lift Apple because this last quarter, the first quarter of 2024, was terrible. Since the start of 2024, Apple has been hit with declining iPhone sales in China, an almost $2 billion fine from the EU, and is in the middle of an antitrust lawsuit with the DOJ. Well, they've also abandoned their self-driving car project, so it just has been a terrible year for Apple. But could things get better? Well, maybe not, because scientists have found that if you're using an Apple device, privacy is almost impossible. They say that, almost impossible. So this is a new study coming from the Department of Computer Science at Aalto University in Finland, and it says that it's the default apps on your iPad, iPhone, your MacBook. They collect personal data even when they appear to be disabled. That's not good news. Well, this is actually the first study of its kind into the native apps on an iPhone. And what are those apps? Well, Safari, Siri, Family Sharing, iMessage, FaceTime, Location Services, Find My, and Touch ID. And it's a bit awkward because privacy, that's Apple, is one of their slogans. Awkward. So Associate Professor Jan Lindqvist says, "We focused on apps that are an integral part of the platform and ecosystem. These apps are glued to the platform, and getting rid of them is virtually impossible. Due to the way the user interface is designed, users don't know what is going on. For example, the user is given the option to enable or not enable Siri, Apple's virtual assistant, but enabling only refers to whether you use Siri's voice control." I'm really sorry for that voice. I have no idea what Finnish people actually sound like. But yes, Siri collects data in the background from other apps you use regardless of whether it's turned on or not. And that's what their research found. Now, can you make your iPhone a private device, or your MacBook or your iPad? Yes, you can, but you need some advanced skills. You need to know what you're doing, but it is possible to really turn these things off and protect yourself. Do I know how? No. That's why I'm going to move on to the next story. Let's go. Right, a nice quick story here, unless you're from the UK, Australia or Pakistan, because these countries are about to get a fee increase on their monthly subscription for Spotify. Individuals, the price is going to go up $1 per month, and for family packages or couples, it's going to go up $2 per month. The US will follow suit later this year, and the reason, surprisingly, is actually audiobooks. So it turns out audiobooks are quite expensive for Spotify to put on the platform, and they're not being used enough, so it's causing a ripple effect. The good news is they're going to introduce a new option, a new membership subscription service that doesn't include audiobooks. So it will just be music and podcasts, and that will be for a lower fee. So You decide what adjustment you need to make in the coming months if you're from the US, UK, Australia, or Pakistan. Okay, next story. Nice quick one, that. Introducing the Kremlin Cast 5000. Huh? No. The Soviet Superstation. No. The Communist Dreamcast. No, and I'm sorry again for the accent. But I know you love it really. Well, I'm sorry, but the name is yet to be decided. But the news is true, and you may have seen this because it's been on some of the biggest channels. You know, I've seen this on the BBC. Putin, Vladimir Putin, that is, the president of Russia, has mandated that Russia's tech industry conceptualizes a games console to compete with Xbox and PlayStation by June 15th. That's less than 2 months away. Yeah, I actually thought I was reading The Onion when I saw this, but no, it's real. I said, no, he didn't. There's no way. There's no way that it takes 10 years at least, surely, to make something like that. But no, it's real. Kind of. Well, the actual truth is more in the phrasing. So here's what was actually mandated and translated into English. The Kremlin handed an order to tech companies to consider the issue of organizing the production of stationary and portable games consoles and game consoles. It's much softer than what the news was reporting. Of course, it's a sensationalist world, naturally. There's more. So if you're a Russian tech company right now, drowning in work, because they're also tasked with the creation of an operating system and a cloud system for delivering games and programs to users by June 15th. This order was sent out on March 25th, so it gave about 80 days. Wow. Analysts are saying this. There is no competence to produce their own PlayStation or Xbox controls, and creating such a system from scratch will take up to 10 years. Yeah. Okay, let's call it an ask the audience question for you now. I want you to think about the answer and I will reveal it shortly. If you get surgery to alter your face, cosmetic plastic surgery to change how you look, will facial recognition still work on your mobile device? Okay, think about that. I'll give you a moment and I'll tell you a bit more about why this is important to know. While this is a tech issue, it's actually more of a security issue, or cybersecurity issue, I suppose. The wide availability of cheap plastic surgery and places like here, Bangkok, where people come for medical tourism, cosmetic surgical tourism, other places like Mexico, South Korea, Colombia, people can come and change how they look for very cheap. And that is a danger. Imagine you're a criminal on the run. You could just change how you look and make it easier to evade authorities. And that is why I am so handsome. Of course, I'm kidding. I'm not on the run either. I'm here for Southeast Asia Blockchain Week. You'll catch me there Wednesday and Thursday. Look out for me. I will be wearing a black SNN t-shirt with the logo on the front, QR code on the back if you're not yet subscribed. And your answer, does facial recognition still work? Well, the answer is yes, in about 90% of cases. I have the findings of a research from UAE, Jordan and Gaza. It says an accuracy of 90% in facial recognition using before and after rhinoplasty images. So that's kind of general plastic surgery. 91% accuracy on blepharoplasty, that's eyelid surgery. 94% on brow lift surgery. And 92% on facelift surgery. That's pretty good going, actually. I would say that surprised me. What about you? Tell me in the comments, because I actually didn't think the figures would be that high. All right, let's move on. Okay, our penultimate story this week. Do you remember back in 2019 when Donald Trump was president, he announced the introduction of a US Space Force? Now, it seemed like satire. I think everyone thought it was a bit of a joke, but not me. I actually took that very seriously. Now, of course, I'm here making these videos. I love futurism, dystopia, and looking forward to what the world will bring. And if, war continues, the natural evolution or natural battleground for the future is space, especially if we're able to harvest energy from space. But the main thing that's passing around in space right now is data. And Wars are being fought over data. So if you control space, you control the flow of data. So why would the US not want to have a armed military presence in space? It just makes sense for their international aims. Well, it's been nearly 5 years, or 4.5 years, and they're getting ready for their first military exercise. Wow, it's hot here. They're getting ready for their first military exercise, and they're partnering with Rocket Lab and True Anomaly to demonstrate how the military encounter might go down in an on-orbit aggression. Now, this terminology, on-orbit aggression, I found weird. I'm pretty sure that won't stick. In-orbit aggression sounds much better, but this isn't about grammar. This is about space fighting. So, on this mission, a spacecraft built and launched by Rocket Lab will chase down a satellite made by True Anomaly. So it's a bit of a space race, this, and this is what I said. The vendors will exercise a realistic threat response scenario in an on-orbit domain awareness demonstration called Victus Haze. You'll be hearing that again, Victus Haze. So I'm going to finish this story on a quote from General Michael Guetlein. He is the Space Force's Vice Chief of Space Operations, and he says, "When another nation puts an asset up into space and we don't quite know what that asset is, we don't know what its intent is, we don't know what its capabilities are. We need the ability to go up there and figure out what this thing is." Okay, let's move on to our final story, a lighter note. Well, I wish I could have a cooler note because it is 40 degrees here and I'm dripping. I don't know if the camera shows that. Thank you guys for sticking with me because I've melted through this video, but it's been a very enjoyable one to make, I'll say that. The final story is a developing one. And it's a little bit political in nature, and that's not what we're about here at Substream News. We try our best to avoid politics. We try to keep it tech dystopia. But the good news is, and I see this as good news, you may too, you may disagree, the US and President Biden are considering dropping all of their charges against Julian Assange. Now, you might not have heard that name for a while, but about 14 years ago, he was charged with crimes for his website WikiLeaks, which was a whistleblowing website which kind of encouraged whistleblowing, which meant leaking documents from big organizations, government organizations, big companies, anonymously to his online platform, so that, you know, the general public could get the truth when organizations were doing bad things and being implicit in crime. And unfortunately, whistleblowing is kind of illegal. It puts your life in danger. And that's what happened to Assange, who basically ruined his own life by fighting for freedom of information. And if the United States of America can forgive Assange for whistleblowing, then I think that's a pretty bold step. I think it's good. I really do believe that's a good step. In my eyes, he's a noble individual. Although he's done lots of bad stuff in his personal life, so let's move on from that. Once again, I'll be at Southeast Asia Blockchain Week this week, Wednesday and Thursday. If you see me, come say hello if you're going to be there. We don't have that many viewers yet, don't have that many subscribers, but we really appreciate you. Numbers have been going up, views have been going up. We're growing, and you're part of it. Thank you. This is what we needed, what we wanted, and we're so happy you're here for the journey. Hope you're enjoying the content. We'll see you next time. I'm Joseph, your sometimes charming, right now sweating, dripping presenter from Bangkok. Let's go.